So moving to Vermont and also going to college even before that was awesome because I could be anybody I wanted to be. I left my life behind. I left my family behind. Nobody knew who I was. Everybody I went to high school with had no idea who I was. And that was cool. I could be any Russ I wanted. And I chose to be me, Russ. Maybe you chose to be you at school or when you moved away. But then what happened is God called me back to Connecticut. So I moved back here. And guess what? There's people here who I went to high school with. It's one of my biggest fears is running into them in the wild. I wouldn't know what to say. Something happened a couple weeks ago, exactly like 2 weeks ago, that somebody from here said they met someone who went to high school with me all 4 years. And they knew who I was. I'd never heard of this person in my life, which wasn't that unusual. Trumbull High School was pretty big. There were kids I flipped through when I graduated, I flipped through the yearbook and I was like, I don't know any of these people. I never even saw them. It's just a big school. So I said, maybe that happened this time. So what I did was I wanted to look this person up to see if I really knew who this person was. But I've been clean from social media for 2 years now. Yes, thank you. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I guess I had to look him up in a yearbook or something. But I knew my yearbook was lost in my basement. No chance of finding that. So I decided to see maybe somebody had a digital archive of yearbooks from Trumbull High School, which there is. There's years before mine and years after mine, but not mine. So I was like, bummer. What do I do? So I still didn't give up at that point. Googled my graduation year, Trumbull High School. And there was a book reseller selling our high school yearbook. I'm not really sure who's buying those, but someone has a stash of them and they're selling them. So I was like, maybe this is just all about the physical book. I had high hopes. And the digital book, they put all the pictures on there or something. I could find this person who supposedly knew me. So I click on this reseller and look at the first picture they put up. It was the cover. I was like, makes sense. Put the cover up. And I was like, what pictures do they have on the inside? And I clicked over to see the very next picture. And I gotta say, devastating. Never saw it coming. It was my senior year picture from the yearbook. You don't realize this, how devastating this is. All right, here, put the picture up. This is what they saw. Yes. I'm not ashamed, but I am embarrassed. I didn't even tell Bree about this. I didn't know how to bring it up. I was like, this guy might know me. I don't know. And so I looked, and someone is putting my picture as the advertisement for this year's Trumbull High School yearbook. Can you imagine that? I couldn't believe it. I was like, this can't be real. I'm so upset. All right, take that down. No one's gonna be able to focus with that up there. I gotta say, all right, listen, I'm not ashamed. I'm just embarrassed. The reason why I'm embarrassed is because it also hit me that there are people that I went to high school with that still, when they say I know him, that's who they know. They don't really know me. I've changed a lot in the last 18 years. But there's not only people that I went to school with, but also strangers online that know me purely as that. And that me had no idea how much I was gonna change in the next 5 years. I was just talking to Bree about this. I got that picture taken, put in the senior year yearbook. 5 years later, I was married with a kid. Yeah, exactly. Wow, craziness happened. It's a hard pill to swallow, I just gotta say. The people remember me like that. But the good news is, I'm not the same person. It's not that I'm no longer at all like that person, but I've grown and matured. And I had no idea how God was gonna show up in my life and heal me and constantly give me a full life when I was just a dried out husk over those next 5 years and beyond. All right, we're going to get into our passage for tonight, which is in John 9. But before we do, I want to remind you guys that I challenged you last week with reading the book of John. So if you've been reading the book of John and journaling through your process, that's amazing. That's exactly what we were hoping for. And you were supposed to answer these questions. You were supposed to answer the question, who is Jesus? And who is Jesus to you? That was the goal of reading the book of John. Continue to do so. We were in John 8 last week. We're in John 9 this week, John 9, 1 through 12. We're following Jesus and his disciples. So it will pop up. The first line will say like, and he, blah, blah. He is Jesus, all right? John 9, 1 through 12 goes like this. As he went along, Jesus, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus, but this happens so that the works of God might be displayed in him. As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. After saying this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. Go, he told him. Wash in the pool of Siloam. This word means sent. So the man went and washed, and he came home seeing. His neighbors and those who had formerly seen him begging asked, isn't this the same man who used to sit and beg? Some claimed that he was. Others said, no, he only looks like him. But he himself insisted, I am that man. How then were your eyes opened, they asked. He replied, the man they called Jesus made some mud and put it on my eyes. He told me to go to Siloam and wash, so I went and washed, and then I could see. Where is this man? They asked him. I don't know, he said. All right, great. I just want to spend a few minutes bringing this passage to life because sometimes you just read this and it seems like words on a page, but this is something that really happened. And so there's more flavor involved than just that. What we have here in this passage is Jesus is walking along with his closest friends. And his closest friends at this point fully know and believe that Jesus is God and he is in the flesh on earth. And they're asking him questions. There's that famous thing where people are like, oh, if you could ask God any question, what would you ask him? You guys have thought about that before? You ever think about that? What question would you ask God? Well, they're walking with God and they're doing it. And they're just going rapid fire, asking God all sorts of questions like, Jesus, what about this and this and this? And like they're even running out of stuff to ask. They don't even know where to start. There's so many questions they get answers to. So they just start pointing. What about this, Jesus? What about this? And this is one of those situations. They walk by this guy who is blind. He's begging. And they're like, and what about this guy, Jesus? What about this guy? Why is he blind? Why would God let this guy be born blind? Did he do something wrong? Did his parents do something wrong? Why is he born blind? And Jesus said, this is no one's fault, but he's going to see the work of God in his life today. Jesus said right after that he came to bring light to the darkness in this world and the people of this world, as long as it is day. And guess what? It's daytime. And it's going to be day tomorrow. And it's going to be the day the next day. As long as it is day, Jesus is going to go about his healing ministry. So this guy's in store for his world changing. So Jesus goes and he spits on the ground and he mixes up some mud with the nasty road dirt. Just a reminder, at this point, the main mode of transportation and hauling stuff around are donkeys and camels. We've all been to the parade and seen what the horses do on the street. We've been to petting zoos. We've seen what they do. There's sheep and shepherds all over the place in these streets. Street dirt is not the type of dirt I would want rubbed in my eyes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you get pink eye from animals. I feel like that's a great way to get pink eye, though, or something nasty. And so Jesus makes this mud, and he rubs it on the guy's eyes. And I don't know, the guy's blind. I don't know, he obviously doesn't see it coming. Does Jesus like lean down and he goes, listen real quick. I'm going to rub some mud in your eyes. Just don't move, right? How does that go? Because if he doesn't say anything, is it just like, ah? And also, the guy has to know it's coming because if his eyes are open, because he's blind, right? Blind people's eyes are just open. They're not blinking and stuff. If it went directly in his eyes, that would be incredibly painful. So he's probably, either way, Jesus puts the mud in his eyes. Then he tells him to go. Go wash it off in the pool of Siloam. And he's probably thinking to himself, I'm going to wash it off even if I don't go to the pool of Siloam, just to be honest. I don't think he knows it's made with saliva. He doesn't say that later. Yeah, he made mud with his saliva and rubbed it in my eyes. No, we don't know. And I think it's actually interesting. He sends the guy on his way. His disciples and everybody with him just continue on their way. They never get to see the guy healed. So what are they looking at each other being like, that was weird? Because the guy just walks away with the spit mud in his eyes, and they go on to continue on whatever they're doing. This also, just for context, isn't the only time Jesus does some weird healing. In Mark 7, he also, he's in a crowd and he finds this guy that's deaf and mute. That means you can't hear and you can't talk. And he gets him alone. I don't know if he's like, right, because he can't hear. I don't think there's sign language at this point. So he's like, come on. He gets the guy alone. He sticks his fingers in the guy's ears. Then he spits. Then he takes his fingers out and he touches his tongue with his ear fingers. And the guy is miraculously healed. And it says he starts speaking plainly. And I'm sure he's like, what did you just do? That's disgusting, but thanks. Right? Jesus is up to some weird healing. So this guy goes to the pool of Siloam. He washes his eyes off and he goes home seeing. And it's got me thinking like, man, what's that like to see all of a sudden? He's cleaning the mud out and he's like, oh, it's a little bright out here. Oh, you see him for the first time. I imagine he took a long time getting home. He probably got lost. He's like, this is what the streets look like. That's the corner I sat on for the last 20 years. Nice corner. He's seeing all the food that he was eating and smelling, and he's like, that looks way different than I thought it would look. It had to be so overwhelming to see everything for the first time. He's probably going all over the place, being like, what, that's a donkey? I had it completely wrong. There was a trend years ago where these glasses came out that you could, if you had color blindness, even like really intense color blindness, you could put these glasses on and it would like fix it as long as you're wearing it. You guys see those? It's a trend from years ago. And the videos were always the same. Even if it was like the grumpiest old man, he was like, I don't want to put on glasses. I don't need glasses. And then they would put the glasses on and they would just weep like a baby, like, oh, because it's so beautiful. You're living in this boring, beige life. And then all of a sudden you have all this color. It's overwhelming. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And he just weeps. Imagine though, that's all just color blindness. Imagine being fully blind and seeing everything for the first time. So this guy finally makes his way home after seeing everything, and now he sees his neighbors. He could put faces to the grumpy voices. And they see him, and they're like, hey, you look just like this guy who lives around here who's blind. And he's like, that's me. And they're like, no, you look just like him, but he's blind. He's like, no, that's me. They're like, I don't think you get this. Blindness doesn't just go away. There's no cure for blindness. And he's like, guys, I'm telling you, this guy everybody calls Jesus made some mud, put it in my eyes, and now I can see. And then the passage ends with probably the stupidest question in the whole Bible. They're like, where did he go? And he's like, I was blind. He was blind when they parted ways. He couldn't see where Jesus went. It's such a stupid question. It's hilarious. So what's the point of me telling you all this? What's the point of spending this much time talking about the passage? It's this. I got one point for you, and it's this. Jesus is the only one who could heal the blind man. But even more than that, Jesus gave him full life. Jesus heals what no one else can and gives full life. Being blind at this time would be extremely difficult. Think about even in modern day, right now, if you were to be blind tomorrow, even with all the handicap accessible stuff, even with all technology, think about how difficult your life would be if you were blind. It'd be extremely difficult. Now go back 2,000 years, it had to be nearly impossible to live as a blind person. I can't imagine the type of weird medicines and healing rituals this guy's parents probably put him through trying to heal him, trying to fix his blindness. They probably tried everything to fix it. Because this guy, this is gonna sound messed up, but he was a financial burden on his family. Someone in his family every day would have to walk him to his begging spot, plop him down, come back in the evening, collect him, bring him back home. This guy spent all day begging. Begging wasn't like a lucrative job that people pursued. He didn't have like a nest egg set aside where he was able to go on vacation. He's able to travel around. He's able to buy a little apartment to live in. No. He doesn't have extra time on the weekends because you only beg Monday through Friday to maybe pursue a romantic relationship. No. He was picked up, dropped off, picked up, dropped off. His whole world revolved around ground level, dust kicking up level of these street corners that he begged on. Sit there day after day asking people for money. But you know what? He was alive. And he was making money. And maybe he's thinking to himself, you know what? Maybe this is the best that life can get for someone like me. I'm alive and I'm making money. Many of us have gone through life spiritually blind, thinking that life is as good as it gets for someone like me. Life is as good as it gets for someone like us. We're existing. We're alive. We're making money. Or maybe you're just being successful wherever you are in school and whatever you're doing. You're like, is this what a full life looks like? Then this guy meets Jesus. Normal day for him. He meets Jesus. Jesus comes and heals his blindness and even more so gives the man a full life. The guy's ability, this guy being able to see unlocks this whole world for him that was sealed away behind his blindness. This guy can now have a real job, which doesn't sound that crazy, but you go from begging every week to having a real job where you can set aside some money, you have coworkers, you can have friends, you can hang out, you can go meet them somewhere all on your own without someone escorting you. You could save up money to buy your own place. You can go see the mountains for yourself, ride a donkey. That was impossible before. You could also get married, get in a romantic relationship. The way marriage worked at this point was that you had to prove that you could provide for your future spouse. The father had to say, yep, you're good. I trust you. You can marry my daughter. And no father was ever going to let their daughter marry a beggar because it's not Disney. This isn't Aladdin. This man could now have a family of his own, a life of his own, a place of his own. He could go see the mountains. He could ride that donkey to the mountains. He could go see the ocean. He could go see the Dead Sea. He could go see the temple. When Jesus met this blind man, he not only healed him, but gave him a full life. He was able to do everything he just heard about on the street corner before. That's what Jesus meant when he said that the works of God were going to be seen in this man's life today. Because when we encounter Jesus with our brokenness and our blindness, the works of God not only heal our brokenness and our blindness, but they give us a full life as well. Maybe you can relate with the blind beggar. You have this issue in your life that nothing seems to fix. There's no cure. It never gets better. No one has an answer for it. At least it doesn't seem to work for you. So you're just dealing with it. You're living with it and you're like, well, maybe this is as good as life gets for someone like me. Maybe this is as good as life gets for someone who has what I have. But if this one thing could just be cured or fixed, you know what? That would be really nice. Life would be nice. I have good news for you. Jesus said, as long as it is day, he is going about his healing ministry. And it's day right now. And it's going to be day tomorrow. And if you remember what I said last week about where Jesus is, he is right there. It doesn't matter where you are in life. He is right there with you. You just turn and see him right there. He is up to his healing ministry as long as it is day. And even more so, he will turn your healing into full lives that you couldn't even imagine what that looks like. So what is your blindness? What's your brokenness? I have a quick point before we close. People recognize the blind man for who he used to be. Isn't this the guy that was blind? People may recognize us by the people that we used to be before Jesus healed us and gave us a full life. We may look the same, but everything has changed for us. So don't be discouraged. Remember what you were saved from, what you were healed from. It's a powerful part of your testimony on what Jesus has done in you. And the reason why we keep pointing at it is because if we ignore it and act like it doesn't exist, it hurts our testimony. When we're honest about what God has delivered us from, other people around us in our lives will look at us and say, you know what? If God could heal someone like them, then he could heal someone like me. So you don't forget what God healed you from. You don't hide it. It's an important part of your testimony. But the most important part of it is to constantly point at Jesus like the blind beggar. He was like, the man they called Jesus healed me. Even if it takes a while for people to see the healing that you've found in Jesus. So if you're feeling broken or empty today, and nothing seems to have filled that void in your heart, no matter what you've tried to fill it with, I have good news. Just like Jesus healed the blind beggar and gave him a full life, he'll do that for you too. And even if you're thinking, you're like, you know what? I don't even really know Jesus. I've never even considered him as an option. Well, here's some good news for you. The blind beggar didn't know who Jesus was either. He said, the man they called Jesus healed me. You don't have to have a pre-established relationship for him to heal you. He can heal you right now. All you have to do is turn to him. Jesus is here. He's ready to heal you and give you a full life. And only he can give it. Will you accept it? Are you ready to fully live and be free from your blindness? Let's pray. Jesus, you are good. You are so good. Thinking about the story of the man born blind, God, he had no clue it was coming on a normal day. He woke up blind and went to sleep seeing. That's crazy. God, I pray that we would have the same experience even today, even right now. Would we place our faith and our trust in you? God, we offer up those broken and blind parts of us. We don't even know the type of life that you have in store for us. But God, we just ask for your healing. Would you heal our broken places? Would you give us the full life that you promise us? Jesus, I pray for boldness when we encounter our own thoughts and fears around the subject of talking to you for the first time, or even talking to you about our brokenness. Jesus, give us courage. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for this chance to be together. It's all in your name. Amen.